For our final day of this week, we're going to ask God to awaken the hearts of our nation and our culture. The need for a move of God has become more obvious than ever, yet He often moves in response to the faithful prayers of His people. Let us be those people today and ask for the great awakening our world so desperately needs. Welcome to the First 15 podcast. Our scripture for today is 2 Chronicles 7, verse 14. Scripture says, "If my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land." I've often heard people pray for God to bring revival to our nation. Yet rarely have I heard prayers for a great awakening. But throughout its history, the Western world has actually seen 4 great awakenings. Well, what's the difference, you may ask? Revivals change people and churches. Awakenings change cultures and nations. The first Great Awakening happened in 1734 under the teaching of pastor and theologian Jonathan Edwards and the British evangelist George Whitefield. Before it began, only 5% of colonial Americans identified with a Christian church. At its height, 80% were active followers of Jesus. The next Great Awakening was in 1792 and was sparked by a prayer movement led by a Baptist pastor named Isaac Backus. This movement led to more than 1,000 large gatherings called camp meetings held across the country. Churches doubled and tripled in membership, and William Carey began what we now consider the modern missions movement. The third Great Awakening was in 1858, resulting from a businessman's prayer meeting movement that began the previous year in New York. Out of a national population of 30 million people, more than 1 million came to Christ in a single year. And at one point, 50,000 were turning to Jesus for salvation every week. This revival even continued into the Civil War when more than 100,000 soldiers came to Christ. And the fourth Great Awakening began in Wales in 1904. This awakening impacted every sphere of culture and industry. Police formed barbershop quartets to sing in churches because there was no one to arrest. Saloons went bankrupt. And this awakening spread to the U.S. For example, out of 50,000 residents in Atlantic City, New Jersey, only 50 were unconverted. 200 stores in Portland, Oregon closed every day so people could attend prayer meetings. I share all of this because now, today, the world is seeing a 5th Great Awakening. More Muslims have come to Christ in the last 15 years than in the previous 15 centuries. China's underground church is exploding in growth. Churches are growing exponentially in Cuba and across Latin and South America. And sub-Saharan Africa is witnessing a remarkable advance of the gospel. Will we see this awakening happen in America? Is an awakening of this magnitude even possible today? We believe it is, and we are praying that First 15 can be one such catalyst in the movement we so desperately need. So today, Would you join us in this prayer? God's promise is clear in our scripture for today. We must humble ourselves, admitting we need the transforming movement of God's Spirit. Then we must pray passionately and collectively. God says we must seek His face, which in Hebrew means to run hard after personal intimacy with the Lord. And then when we do, we must turn from our wicked ways as His Spirit reveals them to us. If we will, our Father promises to hear us, forgive us, and heal our land. As we begin, meditate on God's gracious desire to heal our land. Psalm 33:12 says, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord." And next, pray for the Lord to bring the fifth great awakening to our land. Ask that God would move powerfully in our nation and our world. Matthew 7:7 says, "Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be open to you." And last, ask God to show you how you can participate in His plan for renewal. 1 Peter 4:10 says, "As each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace." James 4:8 promises, "Draw near to God, and He will draw near to you." So let's close this week with a practical way to accept His invitation. Rodney Smith was an evangelist in the U.S. and Great Britain for 7 decades. He was once asked how revival begins. His answer, "Go home, lock yourself in your room, kneel down in the middle of the floor, and with a piece of chalk, draw a circle around yourself. There on your knees, pray fervently and brokenly that God would start a revival within that chalk circle." As we go today, let's draw that circle around our hearts. Thanks for listening to today's podcast. I'm Josh with verse 15. To be a part of a great awakening, we must first experience an awakening in our hearts. May today be a step toward that. Have a wonderful rest of your day today, and may God bless you as you seek Him.